Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our London Borough of Culture event. Kickstart your film. Sorry. Kickstart your career in film. My name is Amiga, and I am on the members committee of Lewisham Youth Theatre, and I will be your host for the talk. I would like to introduce local writer and director Teo Odesanya and Maria Ongale, and director Charles Obaro. Before we start, we have a short film to watch as we are in the cinema, which explains a bit about the large range of jobs that there are in the film.
Have you ever watched a film at the cinema and stayed to watch all the credits? There's so many different roles. Big movies may have between 100 and 3,000 crew members helping to take the film from script to screen. You might have already heard of some of the roles, like the camera operator, the producer, and the scriptwriter. But in this film, we're going to look at some of the jobs that you might not have thought of, like runners, hair and makeup artists, director's assistants, and VFX compositors. Hi, my name is George, and currently I'm a student, but in the future, I want to be part of the film industry. Currently, I'm doing some work experience with Chocolate Films. I've been given the opportunity to speak to some amazing people who are going to share with us what they do and how they got started. When it comes to gaining experience on set, there is perhaps no better role than that of the runner. No, not that kind of runner. A runner is an entry-level job in the industry, and is how many people get started.
Hi George, I'm Monica. I'm currently a runner at a TV production company.
So tell me, what is it that you do?
My role involves basically just assisting the team there. I also help with research for projects, award submissions for some of their shows. So it's just varied in terms of what I do.
What were you like in school?
School seems like a long time ago now. Maybe I was 12 or so. I did my first film course. I just sought out opportunities. I'd gone to some group meetup and I'd met someone that worked in locations in film, and she basically managed to get me a job with her company as a runner. You're never too young to start reaching out and going for those roles, because they are entry level at the end of the day.
What tips can you offer to young people watching this film?
My top tips for anyone that wants to get into film would be to seek out opportunities outside of school. Research on the internet. I found courses that were free.
Thanks, I really enjoyed talking to you. Have you ever found yourself watching a movie and completely forgotten that the people on screen are actually just actors? This is the goal of hair and makeup artists, to transform the actors into the amazing characters they play.
Hi, I'm Elena Diaz and I'm a hair and makeup artist.
What's a typical day like for you?
My overall general role is to help get actors ready for the camera. Do their makeup, do their hair, make sure that it's looking good for the duration of the shoot. I've had some amazing opportunities ranging from the X Factor, Strictly Come Dancing. A friend of mine was going to do a makeup course and I thought, oh, that sounds like fun, I'll just do it, just to be a little bit different and to mix it up. But after having done a short course, I just thought, oh, this is quite fun and I'm really enjoying myself, and maybe I could make it into a viable career.
What did your family think about your career choice?
So I have to admit, in the beginning, before I really found myself, I thought, okay, I'll try and do what the parents say and what society wants of me. It did take a lot of convincing. Sometimes you kind of have to protect yourself. If you're really passionate about something and you really feel this desire in you, just have laser focus in terms of, okay, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to prove all of you all wrong. You say that I can't make money from this, and what type of career is this?
What were you like in school?
When I was at school, I had no idea that this is where I would have ended up. I had no idea that I was even remotely interested in it. It doesn't matter if you haven't had the right support, haven't come from the right background, family, whatever. If you want to make something happen and you have that passion and determination, then there's nothing that's stopping you from achieving those goals.
When you think about who's involved in making a film, one of the first people you might think of is the director. They do a lot more than just shout, "Action!" and cut behind the scenes. Directors work with almost all the other departments on a film, and so it's no wonder they need the support of an assistant to help them with their busy schedules.
My name is Elliot Richards. I am currently the assistant to the director and producer on The Little Mermaid for Disney, working at Pinewood currently.
Hi everyone, my name is Odesanya and I work as a director's assistant in film and television. During my time in film and TV, I've worked on a variety of productions in film, things ranging from Top Boy to Jurassic World to Transformers.
Can you describe your job to me?
A lot of the work I had to do was a mixture of admin and set work.
Getting their groceries. It can involve taking care of admin stuff, fetch coffee. The most busy person on a film set, if I can make their life run smoothly, that's my job. I didn't get into the film industry until I was 32. Many years of doing jobs that I hated. I managed to produce a short film. From there, I've been able to find a place in the industry, and that's kind of led me up to where I am today.
For me, one of my biggest supporters were my parents, and considering I come from a Nigerian household, it's not common for us to be creatives. It's more, you were supposed to be lawyers, accountants.
I navigated a lot of negative things, violence, drugs. The thing about being in an environment like that is you can either become a product of it or you can maintain self.
I think I've learnt skills specifically as a director's assistant that allow me to pursue a career as a director.
So do you know what you want to be doing? Maybe not. So really work out what you want to do in the industry, and there's a place in this for like anyone and everyone.
These days, putting a movie together can often involve combining live-action footage filmed with a camera with animation and special effects. Putting these together to create a final film is a fascinating process carried out by visual effects specialists.
My name is Prince. I'm a visual effects compositor for film.
What does your job involve?
The easiest way to describe what I do is that I get things that are made on computers, whether that's characters, environments, effects, get stuff that's been shot in the real life world, and I have to compose or put them together to make them look like a real life image or video. And when I was a kid, I used to love Lego and like getting small pieces together, putting them, and then you make something. So for me, it's almost like an adult expression of that. I work at Framestore, which is a visual effects company. It's one of the biggest visual effects companies in the world. I'm working on the new Matrix, so the Matrix 4. We've worked on films like Detective Pikachu, Avengers Endgame, Tom and Jerry.
Do you know at school you wanted to work in the creative industries?
In secondary school, I had no idea that I'm gonna end up doing this. When I realized it was an actual thing that I could do is when I was like, okay, I like film, I like effects, this is something that I'm gonna go for. When I first applied for the degree course, they were like, we don't think you're suitable. And from that experience, I was kind of like, oh wow, I need to kind of step my game up. They gave me the opportunity to do a foundation course, did the foundation course, then managed to get onto the actual degree course that I wanted to do originally. So yeah, that negative experience of failing helped me to then move forward and do what I wanted to do.
What is your family background?
So my parents are from Ghana. It's cool because for me, it always kind of gave me like a push to want to do well. Like they've moved here for a better life for themselves and their kids, so I can't waste it.
What are your top tips for people that want to work in film and TV?
People underestimate the idea or the concept of doing their own work and how helpful it can actually be, rather than waiting to get a job and then to start doing it in that job. I think if you actually do it for yourself now, you learn the process, you can learn to enjoy the process rather than the actual end product.
Wow, that was really inspiring. Hearing all these different perspectives has made me realize now more than ever that this is an industry that I definitely want to be part of. Creating a film is a huge accomplishment, involving a diverse team and a wide range of skills. I hope that hearing from all these people has inspired you too. Well, thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you on set sometime.
Just a quick word from me about, the video. I think the video is like very inspiring because I've been saying this since I've started like media studies, how like the creative industry is so wide. And actually like not too long ago, I've done, work experience. So we done a thing where we had to like go online and basically find out about like film and TV, and I didn't know there was a thing called a runner. Like I didn't know like the big thing about it. I just knew about directing, producing, editing, VFX and SFX, stuff like that. But I didn't know there was like more to it. So it was just a thing where it's like the creative industry is just such a big world. Like you could just call it as like a big world. It's just like so many different countries, if you're gonna put into example like that. And from what you were saying, actually, was something I've been saying, is that when it comes from like a black household, it is hard for you to do stuff that's like creative in that sense. Like as you were saying, your parents would want you to be like a lawyer or a doctor, and you try to convince them, or even if you just wanted to try it out to be like a drama student, they'd be like, no, you can't do that, I don't want that. And I do understand from their perspective, but it's like, for us young people, it's stopping us because we can't do what we want to do, or even just try it at least. So yeah, anything you guys want to say about it?
Firstly, I wasn't expecting to see myself. I forgot I even did that. So, wow. But yeah, pretty much, yeah, I same sentiments. I think I was fortunate to have parents that really supported kind of like my journey in the creative industries, and I do think it is it is important if parents can afford to like just kind of even like just helping your children research like options, like, do you know what I mean? Like, 'cause I remember like even like for me to find options, I was kind of like doing it on my own. Like for the I went to like a creative secondary college, but I found it on my own. Like, do you know what I mean? So when I was looking for jobs in the industry, I found out on my own. So, and then I think it's just only after I got in the industry where I kind of felt like there was more support in terms of like, so I met Marie and Charles on the set of Top Boy, and since then like we've been all really, really good friends, and like we share opportunities with one another. If I have making a film, like short film, I'll call Charles or Maria, like, do you know what I mean? And we kind of like lean on one another. But I think having your parents' support is like a wonderful thing as well.
Hi. I was going to say, actually, when I first started out in the industry, there's a lot of things that are in place now, like things like this. There are different creative bodies out there that give you training that wasn't around when I first started out. So I think just kind of in terms of the fact that there are so many different things you can do in the industry, what's great about it now is that there are different companies and bodies and creative like councils that you can now call on to find out information. It's a lot easier than it used to be. So I think that's kind of a good thing about where we are now in the industry, and the fact that you can be a director's assistant, you can be a runner, you can kind of do anything, and you can step in at any time within your sort of life path. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of those points. I think what helped me a lot getting into the industry and like having my parents on board was the fact that I started really early. Like during college, I was showing interest in cameras and editing and making films, and my parents knew that I was serious about it, and they started to trust in my vision. So when I said I was going to university to study digital film production, they were like, yeah, that's what he wants to do. He's about it. And I feel like if you do, I think, because I see a lot of young people here, you have the advantage of starting out young, you know what I mean? So it is important to start early so that people can know that you've been about that from an early point in your life,
Thank you. Just to let everyone know, there will be a chance to ask questions at the end after I've spoken to Teo, Maria, and Charles. So, Teo, when did you realize that you had a passion for film and writing?
I would say it was quite early, funny enough. I think my dad used to, so he had his job, and then, like, on the side, what he liked to do is, like, film weddings and birthdays. So when I was young, probably about, like, 13, 14, he used to take me as his assistant. And I used to kind of, like, help him set up the tripod, set up the camera, maybe talk to some of the young people, say, oh, do this, do you know what I mean, for whatever he wanted to shoot. If I'm really honest with you, I hated it, to be honest with you. I hated being there. But it made me think, oh, I'd rather do it this way. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, having that experience with him just made me think, okay, I wouldn't necessarily do it like this. I would want to be able to tell a story. Like, I want to be able to tell them, okay, this is the scene and da-da-da-da-da. Do you know what I mean? So I think after that experience with my dad, I kind of like started looking into, oh, okay, like what about things that I watch, like how do I make that? Like if I'm watching a Tyler Perry film, I'm like, how do I make that? Like, do you know what I mean? Or like a cartoon, like I used to love cartoons when I was younger, like how do I make that? So I guess like that kind of sparked my interest, and then I kind of like, went on my own journey. Is it the same question for these lot as well?
So when I was about 10, 11, I was obsessed. Actually, I've always been obsessed with Nigerian films. I'm Nigerian. I used to be obsessed with Nollywood films. So I used to watch them all the time. And as I was watching them, I thought to myself, these stories are really rubbish and I can do so much better. And through doing that, at the same time, when I turned like 14, 15, when it's time to pick your GCSEs, I found out that there's a course called Media Studies, and I didn't know that you could actually do a course where you get to watch films and TV programs and critique them and work out ways to make them better. So, am I answering the right question, by the way? Yeah, okay, sorry, I feel like I've gone off like a different point. But that was, for me, when I knew I wanted to work in the industry, was basically because of my love of Nigerian films and how awful they were at the time.
I think I got into it more on the technology side. Like I said before, I was about cameras, DSLRs, Blackmagic cameras, and all those kind of things. And it got me like, I want to see more. Like, this can't be like the only kind of technology out there. I want to see how far I can go. I ended up getting into the industry and seeing all the big toys that they would call it, and I just wanted to like be part of it, you know. So it was my motivation to see what kind of equipment I can work with behind the scenes in film and TV.
Thank you. So we're gonna go back to Teo. How old were you when you made your first film, and was that at Knights Academy?
I was probably maybe 15, 16 when I made my first film. So yeah, it was at Haberdashers' Knights Academy in Bromley, and I got a little camcorder for my birthday, and I was like running around the school like filming people, like really excited. And then she was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to have that in school." And then I was like, "Oh, but I just made it up. I'm filming something." Like, and they're like, "What are you filming?" I was like, "Oh, I'm filming our graduation, like something to show for our graduation." Because, you know, like obviously when you're like 16, you're leaving to go to like either college or sixth form kind of thing. So I'm like, "Oh, for our ceremony, I want to make a leavers video." And then that ended up being kind of like my first kind of real film. And then I did like a summer school, but that was the first one. Same? Or?
Well, that's really interesting. And now we're going to just have a quick look at that film.
Basically, like, this is the film, that I made, like, right after leaving secondary school, innit? Right, like, as like a summer course thing, But funny enough, like, imagine, like, looking at it now, like, this was one of the films that I use to get into the creative arts college that I went to. It was called the Brit School. So I say that to say, like, no matter where you're starting from, like, I didn't have the best equipment, I didn't have the best editing technology, like, you know what I mean? Like, we were just a bunch of young people trying to, you know what I mean, make something happen. I'm not gonna lie, at the time, I thought this was fire. Like, you know what I mean? I thought it was the one, but yeah.
All right, that's cool, that's cool. So the first question is going to be directed to you, and then the other two will be all three of you. So could you tell us a bit about your pathway from this first film at school to where you are now, and the different roles you have worked on TV and film sets?
So since making that film, I ended up going to the Brit School to study broadcast and digital communication. So I was there for 2 years, where I kind of made a few more kind of like studio-based films as well as short films, which again weren't much better, to be honest with you. But I think the progress was definitely like steady there, funny enough. And then after the 2 years at college, I went to university. I did a fast track. I don't think that option is available anymore, but I did a fast track course in uni where I did a 2-year course instead of 3 years, but it's kind of like you get the same qualification because I didn't really like school. So it just meant that I had to work over the summer to kind of be able to complete all my modules. And then after I left uni, it was kind of like a really dry period because nobody really gave me a job in film. So I ended up working at like Maplins, Sainsbury's, them kind of things. And then all the while, just still kind of like doing my research, figuring out how to get in the industry. I ended up finding a company called Cool Time. And after kind of doing some shorts and just assisting, and they ended up putting me on things like Transformers and stuff as a location marshal. So if anyone doesn't know what a location marshal is, you basically are the person who picks up rubbish on set. You're the person that locks off roads. So a lock off is kind of like to ask the public to be like, oh, excuse me, we're filming here. Would you mind just waiting for a second while we do this take, and then we'll let you pass? Is that all right? And there's sometimes they're nice, sometimes there's abuse, do you know what I mean? And after that, I ended up getting a job as a stand-in, which is basically I go on set before the actor does, so the cameraman, the director, whatever, can line up or kind of plan what they want to do before the actor steps on set. It's literally just a warm body kind of thing. I'm just literally something like this. I'll just sit where they want me to sit, move where they want me to move, and then leave when they want me to leave. And after that, the people that I met on that job took me on the next job as a runner, and that's how I met these guys.
No, that was really interesting. I can't lie, that was really interesting. So this one's for all three of you. So how difficult was it to get your first job on a film set?
So I got my first job back in 2010. It was extremely hard. There was, first of all, diversity in the industry is ridiculous. And at the time, it was even worse. There was nobody who looked like me behind the cameras. So it was trying to get my way in with no experience and with no sort of contacts or anybody that I looked familiar to me to get a job. I'm so sorry, could you answer the question again? Because I feel like I keep rambling, so I forget the actual question.
How difficult was it for you?
How difficult? So yeah, that's how difficult. That's how difficult it was. But what I would say is, and this is kind of a tip that I say to everybody who's trying to get into the industry, something I did is I really enjoy watching shows, British drama, especially EastEnders. And my first drama job was actually as a floor runner on EastEnders. And how I got that is I, first of all, looked at the credits and I found out like the different departments and the different managers and unit managers, production secretaries, all of that stuff, kind of looked in the department I was interested in, and then I actually called up the BBC and I asked to speak to somebody within that department, and through there I was actually able to talk to someone, and they said, send me your CV, and that's how I got my first job in the industry. So if you find yourself like not being able to get that first opportunity, I would always say look at credits, look at different departments and people you admire, and try and get in touch with somebody in their office.
It was quite difficult for me. I was part of a scheme. Well, I applied for a scheme called Creative Access, and I remember sending a lot of applications through for different roles, and I always got like rejected. I must have sent at least like 50. I must have applied for like 50 different jobs, and then one day Josie, who runs Creative Access, messaged me and said, "Oh, there's a job in Leeds, and they're looking for a PA, personal assistant to the main actor." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it." And she was like, "Oh, but you gotta stay up in Leeds, and they're gonna pay you £80 a day." And for those of you in there, £80 is nothing. That's rubbish money. Like, so, and I was living up there, so I had to find my own like means of accommodation and everything. And I remember it was just, I used the opportunity to just network. I was like, if I'm gonna be up there, I'm just gonna network as much as I could, and I ended up getting more jobs out of that job. But originally, getting into the industry was the difficult part. But staying in there, it's up to you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
No, it is true. I do agree, actually. Yeah, but I've always heard like getting into the creative industry is so hard. It's like you got to stand out differently. So like it could be two people that's trying to go for like a directing job or like part, and you just got to stand out differently to get there. And I also do agree on like you just have to put yourself out there, keep contacting after contacting after like obviously you're gonna fail a couple of times, but that's just life at the end of the day, and you just got to keep on doing it, because that's what like my teachers always say, especially when it comes to this like work experience at this time as well, and like university, they like just keep on doing it. So thank you so much. Thank you. What was your favorite filming set that you have worked on, and what were the high profile ones? Are the high profile bigger budget ones always the most exciting?
You know what, I would say it's crazy. I think the medium budget ones are like the ones that you kind of like, that's the sweet spot, to be honest with you, because the low budget ones is like stress because there's no money, do you know what I mean? But then the high budget one is like they're stressed because there's more money at risk kind of thing, do you know what I mean? So for me personally, I would still say Top Boy was my favorite job, only because it was kind of like the first set where I felt like I could see people that I could relate to, like, do you know what I mean? I could bust jokes with people that will get the joke, like, do you know what I mean? So, like, even like, yeah, like everything from like the top down, because I started that job as a runner, like a bass runner, and I kind of the last season I ended it as the director's assistant, so it also gave me opportunity for growth, to learn new things and like to make like really great friends, I think.
I'd say I did the first series and the third series of Top Boy, and both of those I really enjoyed working on, kind of for the same reasons that Tayo said. I made a lot of friends on those productions, and it was nice to work on a drama that represented how I kind of grew up and people I knew growing up. The other production I really enjoyed working on was Mr. Selfridge, which was a period drama, and I'm obsessed with period dramas. But we basically found a warehouse in North London and recreated the Selfridges department store. So that was pretty cool.
Just like Maria and Teo, my favorite was Top Boy. I think it's more about the people that you meet on the job that help make it enjoyable for you. But I would say that the comedies that I've worked on as well are just as enjoyable. I feel like once you've gotten through like a 6-month job on a serious show like Top Boy, it can be draining. But once you start like a comedy, and like every time they call action, they say they do something funny that you have to hold in your laughter before the take is done. I think like I'm on a job now called Ted Lasso, and it's like every time that they're gonna shoot, it's gonna be something funny. Like I can't even get through the script. I can't get through reading the script because I know I can't be there when they shoot that bit. It's gonna be ridiculous. But yeah, and high profile jobs. I just came off of a Disney Disney film. I can't actually say what it's called. But yeah, that one was enjoyable just because, like I said before, I like big gadgets and like looking at what they're working with. And that was, the amount of things they brought out on that job was mad. We filmed it up in Pinewood Studios, and it was quite chaotic as well. But yeah.
No, yeah, Top Boy is a big one. You know, don't get at me. I haven't seen it, but it's due to come. It's due to come. It's due to come. So we have a very short excerpt from Grey Suits Us, a short film that you wrote and directed to show the journey of your filmmaking from the film you made at school.
Yeah, so I made this film about in 2018, 2019, and it was kind of like one of the things that I wrote in uni kind of thing, and I was kind of like just experimenting with kind of like ideas that I was having at the time in terms of one of the characters kind of like questioning how religion played a part in their life kind of thing.
Forgive me, Father. Sorry to disturb you. Forgive me, for I have sinned. It's been 3 days since my last confession, and once again I come...
What have you done?
Oh, no, it's not what you think.
Don't lie to me.
It's just paint, I swear. I promise.
Xavier.
It's just paint.
You'll be the death of me.
I'm not a murderer. My mind just likes to tell me I am.
We all have our crosses to bear.
The world has a cross. I have a dead albatross strung around my neck like a dog collar thanks to my dear old dad.
Your father wasn't perfect.
Neither is yours. He came, he went, he came back, and then he left us.
Yeah, that was really good. You know, I like the camera quality. You know, I like the camera angles and stuff like that. No, it was good. So yeah, thank you so much, Teo, Maria, and Charles. So these questions are directed to Maria, but if you guys would want to say anything as well, then it's open. So the first question is, can I ask you, what was your first paid job in TV and film industry, and what different jobs have you had since then?
So my first paid job in the industry was actually in entertainment. I worked as a runner for X Factor. It was awful. Entertainment is much different from drama. Entertainment is, I don't really know how to explain it. It's just not as enjoyable, I think, personally. It's a lot of running after people, kind of looking after egos. It can be quite bitchy. And if you're into that kind of stuff, then I think it's perfect. But for me, I love stories, and I love being able to be a part of something where we're actually going to, in a way, educate people about different topics, and I really feel that drama is that. Different roles I've done in the industry. So I've worked in production. I've worked as a production runner, as a production secretary, a coordinator, production manager. I've also worked within the art department as a production buyer, which is basically any prop that you see on the screen has been sourced by a buyer. That could be a pen, it can be a phone, even like in this room here, the chairs that we're sitting on would be considered a prop. So that's what I did in the art department, and at the moment now I am producing short films and dramas, so I've kind of just worked across the board. But yeah.
Okay, could you explain a bit about what the art department is on a TV or film set, and who works in that department? Could you explain a bit about what the art department is on a TV or film set, and who works in that
So, my understanding of the art department is the art department basically take what's on paper and bring it to life creatively. Within the art department, there are a lot of people actually. So you start off with a production designer who basically is literally that designs the set. Then you have an assistant, you have an art director who assists the production designer in the technical aspects of designing the set. Then you have an assistant art director who assists the art director. And then on the other side, you have the decoration department, which is set decoration. So you have the set decorator who is like the interior designer for that particular production set. And then you have the assistant set decorator, then you have the production buyer, which I did, and then under that you have a petty cash buyer who basically assists the production buyer, and then you have an art department assistant and an art department runner. So it's quite a big team of people. Oh, and there's the graphics designer as well who deals with all the graphics. So again, if you see somebody take out their phone and send a text message or pick up a phone call or hold a credit card, or a piece of paper or anything that had to be physically designed, that's what the graphic designer has to do.
What is the production department and what happens there?
Yeah. So essentially, without the production department, you don't really have a production. They deal with all the administrational and logistics that it takes to create a film. They deal with budgeting. They assist the first director with scheduling. They deal with call sheets, which is a document that you have to send out to all crew, which has information about what's going to be filmed on each day, what time they're going to be filming, and any sort of information like local hospitals or things like that. Please correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. And within the production department, you have the line producer who basically deals with all the budgeting. Oh, you have the producer, sorry. You have the producer who basically oversees the whole production. Then you have the line producer who deals with the budgeting. Then you have the production manager who assists the line producer with the budgeting and deals with things like hiring camera equipment or lighting equipment. And then you have a production coordinator who deals with contracts, sending out call sheets, engaging crew, kind of assisting the production manager doing that. Then you have the production secretary who deals with a lot of the admin stuff, the production diary. Then you have a production assistant, which is basically like a production runner, but just a little bit more experienced. And then you have a production runner. And nowadays as well in production, you have a production trainee, which is a role that's been created to essentially help people get their first foot into the industry and also to support a production department, because I think the production department are probably one of the departments that are heavily understaffed but really overworked because of the amount of things they have to do to ensure that the production's running. If you don't have a production department, you don't have catering, you don't have your lighting kit, you don't have assistance with transportation and accommodation, and yeah.
Thank you. What do you enjoy most about your work and being in the industry?
Yeah. What do I enjoy most?
Yeah, about your work and being in the industry.
Oh, that's a hard question.
In fact, I actually want all three of you to answer.
I enjoy creating stories. As a black woman, I enjoy creating stories that are about diversity, that look at people from all ages, all genders, from everything. And I think that's what I love about working in this industry. I like storytelling and I really like being engaged. And for me, when I watch a TV show, I feel like I'm removed from the world in a way. I'm in my own world and I get to kind of look at somebody else's issues or somebody else's drama and become wrapped up in that. And that's kind of one of the main reasons why I entered the industry, was because I just feel like drama, we all go through such hectic lives and have to deal with our own dramas, so that to be able to come home in the evening and just sit down and relax and to know that I'm a part of that, to allow people to see a different world, a different story world is the reason why I do it. Yeah.
What I enjoy most is, I think, the different people I get to meet, cast or crew. A lot of the people that you wouldn't think are good people are great people. A lot of people that you have heard are bad people are actually, in fact, pretty decent people. And another thing I like on set is the storytelling. So, like, before we start shooting a production, you read the script and, like, you understand what's happening in the whole show. And it takes a lot to keep that to yourself. Because, like, imagine I knew, like, Top Boy, for example. We knew about what happened in that show a year ago. Yeah, and it's going to come out and we're still holding that to ourselves. And it's like, it's really hard. Yeah, storytelling.
I would agree with everything that they just said, but I think, so storytelling and all that, but I think one of the things that I really love is seeing the set builds. Like, it's almost like, literally, like, it's almost like magic. Like, you kind of see this thing that you've read, like, in the script, and then you kind of see it be brought to life, and you're kind of, like, walking around these sound stages, and, like, this place is, I don't know, like a football stadium. This place is an office. Like, I remember, like, when, so I did a location marshal on Transformers, and they had, like, a couple of builds, and I was just like, whoa, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was just, like, literally, like, just starstruck, like, by the fact that they were able to create something out of nothing, essentially. Do you know what I mean? So I like that aspect.
That's really good. Thanks. So, Charles, these 2 questions are for you. So wait, you actually answered that already, actually. No. Okay, let's go to, how did you progress to where you are now, and what is your role currently?
So I might have mentioned this earlier, but my first job was a personal PA to Robbie Coltrane on a show called National Treasure. We filmed that up in Leeds. His PA was I literally just carried his chair around. That was literally all I did. Yeah, he wasn't a very mobile person, so he had to sit down, like, in between takes all the time. So I was carrying this really big barber chair. It's probably bigger than what you guys are sitting in right now. And after that, I went and became a runner / stand-in on Gorilla, which was in London. And that was, like, my entry point into being a runner into the AD department. And yeah, since then I worked on like 10 other runner jobs after that before I stepped up into thirding, which is what I'm doing now. I'm a third AD, which is the person that makes sure that everything is set and I help the first AD on set. So the first AD will, like, take directions from the director and make sure that we get the day, and then I'm there doing the little stuff, like making sure the cars get to where they're supposed to be for a shot, make sure that they're traveling from base on time. And yeah, but now I'm currently transitioning into a floor second, which is like one step below first AD, whereas I would be the one, like, running the set. I'll be the person that will be like, once the first AD steps off, I'll be calling standby, turnover, and then cut, all that stuff. But yeah, currently right now I'm still in the third AD / floor second stage.
Can I just add as well? It's funny because I never knew this before, but on most UK sets, the director's not the one that calls action. Like, that's the first. His first assistant normally does that as well. So that's, like, another thing that, again, that you just learn from being in the industry. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of I think Americans maybe not, they do it differently, but just, yeah, it's just very different here in the UK.
Well, that was something new I learned today, didn't it? Oh, crazy. So, Charles, you did say that your favorite filming set was Top Boy, innit? And you did say that the high-profile one was Top Boy, innit? You didn't. Okay, so what were the high-profile ones?
The high-profile ones are the films that I've worked on. I did a Netflix film called His House, and it was a horror film. It was my first horror film, and it's just the animatronics and the makeup, the prosthetics that they used to like bring the monsters and all that stuff to life. I thought that was like, it was expensive, because the actor playing the monsters had to be on set. Say we started at 8 a.m. The actor had to be at base at like 5 a.m. just to get ready in makeup, because they had to put their whole body in a prosthetic, which is like time consuming. The makeup team were there before 5 a.m. Like they were there at 4 a.m. just to get everything ready. The other high profile thing, like I can't tell you what it is, but it's a Disney film. Yeah, and it's just because of all the big gadgets that they use on that. So yeah, those are my high profiles.
Thank you. So these questions are for all three of you. What advice would you give a younger you, or what do you think you have learned on your journey?
I think, honestly, it sounds cliche, but it's just be a good person. Because what happens in this industry is, if you're a good person, people will remember that, and it will be the gateway to getting more jobs. But if you're like, even if it's something small that people remember, they'll be like, oh, we need to get this person in. Should we get? No, they did something that I didn't like, and then that will be carried on you. It'll be like a black mark on your resume. So I think, in order to like get on other jobs and all that stuff, I'm not saying be fake. I'm not saying be, just be like naturally approachable, a good person, be good at your job, be professional, and yeah. I've even forgotten the question, but yeah.
What was it, sorry?
What advice would you give a younger you, or what do you think you have learned on your journey?
So the first thing is, don't give up. Because it's so easy to give up with this industry, because it's so difficult to get your foot in the door. But I'd say don't give up. I'd also say to a younger me, I have a condition called sickle cell, and I'm also dyslexic. And starting out in the industry, both of those things I felt were things that were essentially against me for getting in. But I would say that you should fight through whatever you feel like is against you, because there are people who will help you. This industry is very open to helping people with whatever they have, and I kind of wish I'd known that sooner, because I think that maybe if I had, I would probably be a bit more open about my is disabilities the right word? Say again? Conditions, and be able to get the help that I needed at the time to kind of help me progress. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with everything they just said. I think just being just a warm, welcoming person, or just being yourself, but you know what I mean, like just being warm and welcoming when it comes to being open to learning and stuff like that, that's always gonna be a plus. Just literally being like, okay, cool, can I help you with this? Like asking questions is a big one. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, a lot of us come from backgrounds where we didn't know really nothing about film like that. Like, do you know what I mean? So coming into the industry, like when they ask you to, oh yeah, can you go get XYZ thing? Oh, it's in the honey, like, where's the honey wagon? I'm like, what's a honey wagon? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's language and stuff that they use that you have to learn if you're not really familiar with it. And I think for me, it was the questions and not being afraid to ask for what you want. I think that's really important as well. Just in terms of like whether it's you want to learn something, or even if it's just you want to progress into a different position, like not being afraid to be like, oh, hi, XYZ, like I was really interested in doing XYZ, like would you be able to, what can I do? Do you know what I mean, in order to get to that position? Or do you know if there's any jobs available? Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Thank you. What is the pay like in the industry? Because I be, like online, and I know that the bag's mad. Do you know what I mean? It'd be crazy. So yeah. So what's the pay like in the industry, and how did you manage starting out to where you are now?
I'll be honest, yeah. When you're starting out, yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun, especially because similar to Charles, like for me, my experience in first starting, a few of my first jobs, you don't get paid that much. Plus, it's far, and I didn't have a car at the time, so most of my wages was going on the taxi to get there. Do you know what I mean? Like it was. So let's say I'm getting paid for the first job, like maybe like 100, 120 for the day, right? I'm spending at least 80 on the cab to get there and back. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not really taking much home. So I guess as you progress, though, obviously you get more money kind of thing. But I think when you're starting out, it's not to say that accept everything kind of thing, because there's some offers that they'll give you that is a bit of a piss take. So it just depends on what you're willing to sacrifice, maybe. That's the best way to put it. But starts off somewhat. I think it's getting better now. Like as the years go, like they kind of up the minimum wage kind of thing for it. So I think, is it 130 now for a runner? 135? 120. Whoa. 120 a day to be a runner, and then it kind of like, as you progress, it kind of progresses. So like a producer, I only learned this the other day, mind you, but producer can be getting like 10K a week on a job, and and you're doing a smooth 24 to 36 weeks depending on the job. Do you know what I mean? That's one production. Do you know what I mean? So it varies, but it starts off very entry.
But can I just say that the hours you have to work, sometimes it doesn't even make any sense for how much you're getting paid. You work minimum 12, 13 hour days. Like a normal shoot day would be 8 till 7, and within a 1 hour lunch break, but you don't actually get an hour's lunch break because you're still working. Sometimes, like if you're in the AD department, you have to come in an hour and a half, 2 hours before you start shooting. If you're in the production department, you have to be in way before that. Like as a production coordinator, production manager, I'd have to be in an hour before we start filming, and then I have to stay an hour after we finish filming. So I'm not getting paid for those hours that I have to be in before we're filming. So it might sound like it's a lot of money, but the amount of hours that you actually put into the job, it kind of weighs it out. And obviously as well, you're paying for things like transportation, which you don't get covered. There was something else I was going to say and I've totally forgotten. Yeah, I've forgotten. But yeah, just the money might seem like it's a lot, but when you compare it to the amount of hours, that's the other thing. A lot of times, like for instance, if you're in the production department or if you're in the art department, you actually have to work weekends and you don't get paid overtime. You don't get paid for working weekends. So yeah, there's sometimes the money sometimes doesn't really outweigh the amount of work you put into it.
I think when you start out, you can't think about the money. I think you got to use that step into the door as a way to just network and keep yourself in there. Like I said, I was getting paid £80 a day on my first job, and I was like, okay, if I'm here, I'm gonna work as hard as I can. I'm gonna talk to every single person on set. I want to know what I want to do when I go back to London, and that's what I did. And now I am getting paid pretty well. It could be better, but it is about not doing it for the money, but just doing it to progress. There's no even the person at the top wants to be higher up. Do you know what I mean? So you just got to keep on moving, motivating yourself to try and get as far as you can.
Oh, what I would say as well, sorry, is that if you do get offered a job as a runner or something, whatever they offer you, add a little bit more onto it, because they're usually bumping you.
No, I agree with everything they said. I think like one of the things that I don't know if you guys have had it, but I've questioned like my life a few times. No, yeah. When I'd be like, should I really be doing this? Like, do you know what I mean? So I think if you're coming into it for the money, like you probably won't last long, because it's not an easy industry to be in. Like, do you know what I mean? So like, I think for me, it's the passion that gets you through.
Yeah, just to add as well, I think it's like once you're passionate about something, you don't think about the money. Like you just want to work, you want to talk to people. Like you're excited for the final part, like it being on like film, TV, stuff like that. Like for example, like with me quickly, I've never really been interested in acting. I started like year 10 when it came to drama. Then I came to LYT and I was like, oh, this is sick. Like, you know what I mean? And obviously I knew that, you know, when it comes to acting, depending on what project you do, you make mad money. But I never thought of it like that. I just thought of it like meeting new people, and I just, you know, you just enjoy it and stuff like that. So, yeah. Okay. Cool, yeah, so thank you guys so much. It was really inspiring, and I hope everybody else was inspired as well. So now we're going to go to the audience for Q&As. If anyone want to ask any questions, raise your hand and we'll be with you.
So I was wondering if like going into university or straight into the industry is like which one you think's better, because I need to persuade my Indian mum that like I'm really serious about this, so if you've got any advice or anything, that would be great.
I will start with Charles.
My experiences in university might be different to other people's, but I don't think university is necessary to get into the industry. I think I'm not saying don't go to university. I don't want angry parents coming after me. But I'm saying the industry is not about what you know, it's about who you know. Like, if I had a best friend and that person asked me, oh, Charles, I want a job, and then someone that I didn't know gave me a CV and said, oh, could you help me get on this job? I'm gonna pick my friend because I know that person. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's all about, university can help. You can get a lot of the information you need. You can get a lot of experience. They can put you on placements that you can network on as well, and you can get to where you need to be. But ultimately, if you don't go to university, it's not the end of the world. I think good luck trying to convince your parents, because my parents didn't have a bar.
I'm going to be totally honest. I went to university. I genuinely think it was 3 years that I could have actually spent in the industry working. There are so many different schemes out right now as well that help people who can. There's a government scheme called Kickstart, and what they do is like an apprenticeship, and they actually have positions within the industry where you can just go straight into working and you're learning on the job. I would say do that, because the thing about this industry is that it's every other day something new happens. It's always changing, it's always evolving, new equipment, new this, new terms, new whatever. University can only teach you so much, and then once you actually enter the industry, a lot of the stuff you learn at university is actually not even relevant to what's happening right now. So I personally would say try really hard to convince your parents and just get straight in there, start working.
I agree, man. Uni didn't help me, in my opinion. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't feel like it really, like, outside of maybe like meeting people that I can make projects with. Like, do you know what I mean? But really and truly, most of the projects I do now, I do with people that I met at work as well. Do you know what I mean? So it would be hard to convince your parents probably. But speaking of Kickstarter, there's a production company called Multimedia. Like, it's look it up. Like, I know they're doing a program at the moment with Kickstarter, and it's a really good media company. They've done music videos for like Drake and like a lot of big artists, but the person who started it is based over here in the UK. So there's opportunities like that out there. Do you know what I mean? You just kind of have to be able to search for it, and like if you're in those kind of establishments, it does help kind of like funnel you into just a good like career. Do you know what I mean?
Can I just say, if your parents are like, no, you have to go to uni, the National Film of NFTS, National Film of, what is it?
National Film
and Television School. They are really, really, I'd say they're probably the best in terms of, because not only do they put you on placements, if you have that on your CV, a lot of people were like, yep, we like that, and they'll hire you. So if you have to go there.
No, I agree with them as well, because like for me, I'm 18, right? So I'm going like uni this year, and the reason why I decided to go uni because I don't know what I want to do yet. So I want to try out, podcasting and radio just to see what I want. But if you know what pathway you want to go directly, it's better to go to apprenticeship or just go straight into working. It's like so simple. But yeah, any more questions? Yeah, I'll go with you then.
Yeah, as a freelance director, what's the best way to get your film funded as a short film? Trying to do well.
I mean, to be honest, like this is the funding lady here. If I'm honest with you, so I'm gonna pass it on.
I'd say start off with BFI. They do a short film fund. That'd be your best bet personally. They are open all year round, so you can apply at different stages. Make sure you find yourself a producer. Make sure your script is tip top because it's extremely fierce out there. I'd also say as well, like local councils do like short film festivals and things like that, so you can try and apply for that because they give you, it may not be a lot, but they do some sort of funding. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to go into your own pocket as well, which is, yeah.
I would say just from my perspective of making stuff, I've only ever got money after I've made things out of my own pocket. Do you know what I mean? That's because most people want to be able to be able to be like, oh, okay, cool. If I give you money, you're gonna make something that is. Do you know what I mean? It's worth the money I'm giving you. Do you know what I mean? So often enough, you have to have something to show and prove that. That was my experience.
Yeah, go for you over there.
So thank you very much for the talk. It was like really good to hear from all of you. And I'm wondering, as industry professionals, how do you market yourself? Like, are you freelancers or are you contracted with a company? And if you are freelancers, then are you your own company or do you go as a sole trader? And how did you kind of work that out for yourselves?
So I'm freelance. Like all my jobs come out of word of mouth, but the way I promote myself is Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. What they let me show, I'll show it. Like it does get people like, oh, Charles was very appreciative of what he did on that job. He might like to he might appreciate this job that we offer him. He was very good. We heard that he was very good from other people. Instagram is a form of marketing yourself. It's not everyday selfie. Like sometimes you can just, promote what you did. Put a poster of the job you did, say a few words, say, oh, I love doing that. That was a great job. And then other jobs will be like, oh, what did you do on that? Oh, we're starting something up. We'd love for you to join us. It happens like that. I've got so many jobs through my Instagram, and it's one of my main reasons that I've been working on so many things.
Oh, I'm a freelancer as well. Yeah, it's word of mouth. Yeah, that's the only way I've actually ever been able to get jobs. Actually, it's all through word of mouth and who you know, and also again, like if there is a producer you admire, a director you admire, a TV show you really like working on, I'm a stalker, so I will use my stalking skills to find out people who worked on it and get in touch with them directly with my CV. And even if it's the case that they're already working on something, that there's nothing available, even just connecting and networking, you're just asking for them for a quick Zoom chat or a coffee, it really does go a long way in terms of getting you your next job.
Yeah, 100%. I think my first shadowing the director was literally because I used to really like this show called The 100, like it's on like CW Network in the US. And I just like the episode I really liked. I saw the director and I Googled her. She had a website. And then like most people don't have this, but she had her contact details on her website. Do you know what I mean? And I messaged her and she was like, oh yeah, I'm actually shooting this show in the UK. Like, do you want to come along? Like sometimes it's just like that simple. Like you just have to kind of really just reach out and just take a chance. Like there's loads of people that didn't reply to me. Don't get me wrong. There's loads of people that did not hit me back. But there are some opportunities. And another thing is that we're all freelancers, but I guess in different positions you have different people will have, like, some people will be sole traders, some people will have their own LLCs and then put the money or get paid through those LLCs or whatever the case may be. But again, I don't know. I don't understand that part personally, but they pay themselves out of it kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Any more questions? I'll go for you and then Marvin. So yeah, you can go first, sorry.
I just wanted to ask, as filmmakers, where do you go for platforms that help you release and get more exposure with your films and stuff, short films and stuff? I don't know if that was clear enough.
So basically saying like when we make films and put them out kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like where do we put them?
Because with my experiences, obviously I've released them on festivals and
Yeah.
NYM and apps like Pulse TV and stuff, but where have you released your films and gotten more exposure?
Honestly, same. To be honest with you, like I've kind of like festivals as well, like pretty much from uni till now is kind of like where I kind of like got the exposure. But I think also when you go to those festivals, like the networking part, as much as it might not be fun, like that's kind of can be quite integral, because that's where you'll meet people and be like, oh, like, are you making anything like else? Do you know what I mean? That might be the person that funds your next project. Do you know what I mean? From meeting in the festival. NYM is also good because I know, like, especially more recently, I know they've got a BBC show coming out called Prue in the fall. They've got, I know Channel 4 are about, they have Netflix funds and stuff like that. So in terms of exposure, it's good to kind of like keep those connections. Like, it sounds like you're doing all of the right things kind of thing. I think there are a few kind of like niche sites, like, so I'll tell you afterwards because I can't remember right now, but there's a US kind of platform that has short films that display short films on it, but they actually pay you per watch, like, but a bit more than YouTube. Do you know what I mean? So when I remember, I'll Google it and send it to you. Cool.
Marvin? Wait, so quick, just speak a bit louder as well, please.
Sorry. Do you have any advice for how to get into Brit School?
What do you want to do?
Acting.
Okay, so I was an actor. So I went for media, to be fair, but I was an actor. But I think from what I've seen of the other actors that went there, they have like a summer kind of course. So that was quite helpful for them because it got them familiar with the teachers and stuff that were already there. So doing those kind of things and also doing extracurricular activities, like just to be able to show that acting is something you're passionate about. So if there's any like local theatre stuff that you have done or can do to display your kind of passion and kind of like really study your craft wherever you can, like, do you know what I mean? Again, this is only secondhand information, but I think because, different disciplines, they have different kind of like entry-level requirements. I know for music, you have to play a certain number of instruments and all of that. For media, you have to have a certain amount of, like, I guess, work. Like, I took my artwork and like the films that I'd made. So I think I'll try and double check before I leave today. But I know just definitely try and do as many kind of like plays or kind of like, even if you do some films with your friends, like, do you know what I mean, film it on your phone, just to be able to show that passion and kind of to show the variety. So you've done something for screen, done something for theatre, XYZ, but I'll double check for you.
So yeah, just a quick one. Even what I heard about Brit School when it comes to acting, I think you have to like do like a trial, like some performance thing. I think you got to do like 3 of them, and then like they like sort of like decide on that, and then including with like everything else. But yeah, any more questions? Yeah, go on.
Do you guys have any internships or anything like that?
Internships are... There are some internships in the industry, but the majority of them aren't that great and they're unpaid. What I would say is try and look for a traineeship instead of an internship. When you contact companies and stuff as well, request for traineeships. But yeah, internships, it's a bit of a sticky one in this industry because we don't believe in paying or not paying people for their time. And with internships, there's ways that people try and get around it and make you work crazy hours without getting paid. So yeah, traineeships is the way to go instead of internships. I'd say look online, Creative Access, do traineeships, and then obviously there's Kickstart, and then there's another skill set also advertise when they're looking for traineeships as well.
All right, so we're gonna go with one more question. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you had it right, yeah.
I just wanted to know, how does copyright work with films?
When you say copyright, what do you mean exactly?
So like, let's say something you repost in the film on YouTube.
That's really difficult. If it's not covered by a production company, then it's it's really difficult what you can do with that. What you can do is you can create, like go on Company's House and create a production company. It's like £7, and then at the end of your film, just say copyright by the production film house. So then if anything happens, then you can go back to it. But within the industry, in regards to copyright, it's a bit difficult because what happens is that on every production you work on, there is a clearance department, and it's usually the production department that deals with clearances, but they try and make sure that every single thing you see on screen has been cleared, so nobody can come after you and say, oh, you used something that's mine and you didn't pay us. When it comes to short films or things that you put on YouTube, the rules are a little bit different. So I would say just do the copyright by at the end of your program, and have some sort of paperwork to say that you're the one who created the idea and all of that stuff. But yeah.
Okay, so thank you everybody for your questions. If I didn't pick you, after when everything is finished, everybody will be outside and you can ask your questions to the panel. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone for being part of this talk. We have some refreshments outside and an area to chat more. If you could please support Borough of Culture by speaking to one of the volunteers with the iPads about your experience today. Okay, so yeah, they'll be outside in the refreshments areas. And if you are you can sign up to Creative Futures on the iPads if you are over 16 for more opportunities during the year, and there is more advice on the Creative Future website. If you are over 18, we also have some free training for the film industry happening in April and May. Please leave your contact with Nancy. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much to our panel for their time. This has been really helpful for me as a media student and a freelancer. And I think everyone here have been inspired. And thank you all for coming, and hope to see you outside.